You expect Sylvan and Linton were going to come, but I don't know, maybe something's happened.
Oh, well, if they join, I'll let them in the room. Okay, it's 8:30. It's that time, and we're turning over to Duncan, who is going to take us to various locations with his photography, with his landscape photography.
Look at that.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, the camera's off. Okay.
Sorry,
all right. So share screen.
Share screen.
Share screen. Okay. Okay. We're there. You see a picture of a map?
I see a picture of a map.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting because of the nature of it, but what it shows is the Tanami track running from Alice Springs up to Halls Creek. In 2000, we took the kids out of school. Tom was 16, Sean was 13. It was really funny because when we went to the high school and said, "Oh, we're worried about their education," they said, "Don't worry, they'll learn more out there than here."
It was 3 months of not more rocks.
Well,
now Lucy's just joined us. So
Hi,
welcome, Lucy.
sorry,
hey,
I'm late.
Lucy.
Hi. Make me sad.
We've only just started, Lucy, so we're on the first slide, which is
A map.
a map. That's
Yeah,
the
but I
one.
want to get rid of it because I can't.
Look.
Oh, well, I'd like to be able to see the little arrow on the right-hand side. I can't. Anyway, look, they...
It was almost down the bottom when you moved further. There it is.
Here it is.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah. Anyway, second.
Just move further across the screen, Duncan.
Move my head further across the screen.
No, the arrow on the right-hand side.
With the cursor
on the far right.
All the images of the people are there, so doesn't matter. I'll use this little thing.
Okay.
Okay, so in 2000,
so can I cut across there and say that if you've got a string of images down that right-hand side, there's a little bar across the top.
Yes.
If you click on the
single
first left of those, you can
got
minimize those.
Oh, magnificent.
And then you can resize your window and bring those people back again if you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, who'd want to do that?
I want to see Lucy's face.
Oh, you want to see Lucy's face, yeah? So, so this one? Where's Lucy?
I don't know. Where am I?
Oh, there you are. Fantastic. Hi.
I better
I've got to turn the video.
I don't want to turn the video on.
We'll turn her on later.
Later, yeah.
Yep, that'll be fine.
Okay. All right, so we took the kids out of school, and it was 3.5 months. We drove 12,500 kilometres around into WA and down the coast. And
when are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? When are we going to get there?
Anyway, the Tanami track, as you can see, is, what is it, 1,000 clicks?
Unsealed.
Unsealed. And so we camped out all the way. We had a trailer and tent and what have you. And this is along the way on the Tanami track at a place I can't even tell you where it is because it's somewhere along that 1,000 clicks. And
which colours? Can we go back to that one?
Yeah, sure.
It's not Rabbit Flat, is it?
No, we went to Rabbit Flat, but
he had the gun ready for the next guy that tried to break in.
He had a bar over.
He shot someone that tried from one of the communities that had come to try to grab something. He had a go at killing him. He didn't kill him, but he was not a nice man. He
had bars over where he was selling the grog, and I think this was this was the year 2000. He was selling a slab for $50 in 2000.
Yeah, making plenty of money from the communities.
Yeah.
It's an interesting sky you've got there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, end of the day, obviously. With
what time of year is this?
Oh, gee. Good question. I think it's about autumn or winter.
We went up so we would be there in summer. So we headed off at about June.
Yeah, in the middle of the year. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we could get back before summer. Yeah.
Right. Nice colours.
Aren't they? They're lovely. Oh, beautiful. And this place is Wolf Creek.
Wolf Crater.
Wolf Crater, I should say.
One of the largest, you've seen the movie, or not. It's one of the largest impact craters, meteorite craters.
It's rated as the second best in the world. There's another one in Arizona, but it's a real crater. It's an impact. So, I mean, you can't see this, but to this part here, that's part of the circle, as it were.
Yeah.
Beautiful, all the spin effects. Trying to walk through that is very entertaining. And I've got another scene here of the kind of like the wall.
Wow.
That's the wall of the crater, is it?
Yeah,
Right.
The inside or outside?
outside.
Mhm.
We didn't get to the inside.
Yes, we did. We
Okay.
climbed
Did
up on the edge.
We climbed to the
And
edge.
then
but
we
we
decided we wouldn't climb into the middle because it was too big.
Well, it's pretty hot. Even though it's winter, it's. I mean, this is very close to within I don't know, 100 clicks or so of Halls Creek,
Oh, okay.
and that's another shot of it as well from obviously from the outside there.
Lovely photos.
Yeah. Next, this is a sort of an unknown. On the way back somewhere along the West Australian coastline, we found this sand dune place, and it's interesting.
That's very painterly.
Yeah, so
Mm.
you get amazing kind of quality with the shadows with sand dunes, don't you? They really lend themselves to photography. They come up with those lines,
Anyway.
gradations.
Originally,
Who's that Australian artist who lives in Italy who does very high contrast? Is someone having some?
would these be slides originally?
Yeah, these ones that you've all been looking at so far are all from Kodachrome, because I hadn't sort of moved into digital by that stage.
Okay.
Scan them yourself, did you?
Yeah, I scanned them myself, Jean-Claude. Yeah,
Cool.
scanned them to TIFF and then made JPEGs for this.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Must have a good scanner.
Very nice.
It's not bad. Cost me, This is up a place called Milparinka. It's like a sort of a stay on a station. It was a sheep station.
North of Broken Hill, up near the border with Queensland.
Well, I've got a map where it is. So there's Milparinka. This is the northwest corner of New South Wales, there, Sturt National Park. And so Milparinka is Milparinka is a sort of a non-town, which probably had an illustrious background. But anyway, so this was just after
Gibber.
it's Gibber, and it's after a dust storm, so that's kind of weird lighting.
It's like a rabbit-proof fence, doesn't it?
This is Hatter Lakes.
Oh, yeah.
They when we passed through it, they were moving water from one section to another. Typically, it's quite dry up there in the Mallee, and they're trying to save it, so they'd move the water from one section to another, let it soak down for a week or so, and then
Pump it to the next lake.
pump. Yeah, and
Yes.
One lake to the other is a desperate attempt.
Very still, isn't it? The
Is that up
reflection.
on the Murray?
Yeah.
yeah, it's just south of the
Sort of like big trees.
Mildura. This is in a park called Nagarkat, which is on the border with South Australia and Victoria. It's kind of like Mallee. I really like the Mallee, the stunted trees and the
Oh, yeah.
it's kind of like a very strong showing of spring sort of flowers and what have you. Pretty spot. And there's a place up there called Pinaroo.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic coffee shop. You wouldn't believe it. Best coffee in Victoria.
And that is Sturt's Desert Pea in the
Oh,
front.
that one, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's pretty.
We'll find out later. This is the Breakaway, which is out of Cooper Pedy. We went up there a few years back, and it's a beautiful spot. Dramatic sort of colours in it, and this was at sunset. We were having a sort of a end of the day picnic. this is at Katajuta, you know, what was the oldest.
Right.
And we're watching the sunset, and I really love the desert she oaks. Nothing quite like listening to the wind blowing through them.
Is this off a slide or off digital?
Oh, this is off a phone. As you can see with the speckled sky there.
Yeah.
It's the noise in the sky. Yeah.
Yeah, the noise in the sky. Yeah,
Yeah. What's the white dot up the top?
it's a
there?
star.
Just a star.
Yeah,
It must be the
that
brightest
always.
star.
Well, that's what amazed me about digital cameras, the way digital phones, I should say. This is Mount Zeal in the background there, which is out of it's in the West McDonnell Ranges, out of Alice Springs. We went with Sylvan and Linton a few years ago, and yeah, just a nice sort of bit of landscape.
West McDonnell.
Yeah, so Mount Zeal is right up there. There's Alice, and Mount Zeal is up here. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, and down here is Uluru. There's Uluru down there.
We went to it would be around there. Yeah. When we went down
Kings Canyon.
Oh, Kings Canyon, yeah. Well, Kings
Yeah.
Canyon is roughly, wait a minute, there. Yeah, oh, that's right, where that curve is there.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, okay.
it's pretty out there.
Yep.
Yeah. This is a place called Edge of the World, which is in at the Arthur River in northwest Tasmania.
On the west coast, going into the west, out west.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't believe the wind that was coming.
Windy.
Yes. And that's off a phone. That I've made a print off that, and I made a print up to about I don't know.
Roaring 40s. The roaring 40s winds come straight onto the west coast of Tasmania.
It was all I could do,
Wow.
stand still.
Just
Not a good place to be in a boat.
No,
I used to know people that were abalone divers down the west coast, and
Oh,
that was a life.
oh yeah.
whoa. Dangerous job.
This one is in Italy. It's a ploughed field. We went for a drive out of Florence one day. You can see this sort of
Painting.
markings there. It's amazing, really. Looked like a sort of an ocean of dirt.
Yeah.
This is
It's got to be France, doesn't it?
poppy field. We stayed at a place called Vaison-Lormain, and yeah, well, there's poppies everywhere, isn't there?
Just wild.
They're lovely, aren't they?
Yeah.
This is a more off the wall kind of stuff. This is at halfway up Mount Ventoux, you know, the cyclists' pilgrimage, and we stopped there in a field.
Tour de France does it regularly. It's a white top mountain. It's very famous for cycling.
And the whole top of it is like hunks of quartz about the size of two fists. And we eventually got to the top, and there were all these photographers waiting for the devotees to get to the top, take a picture, and then give them a card, because like I said, it was sort of a cyclist mecca. Now we're going to spirit across to the Isle of Skye.
Oh.
And this place is called Neast Point, and it's this sort of amazing
Wow.
flora that occurs there. These little pink flowers. Yeah, it's just
Did you
alive.
scoot over there in a bonny boat
in a bonny boat.
over the sea to Skye?
Let me
Looks
tell
like
you
a-
how loud those winds blew.
I tell you,
It's like a wall garden.
yeah, exactly.
But it
Yeah,
had one other great thing, that when we were sitting there, and it was beautiful where we were, puffins were
Oh, lovely.
nesting on the
Nesting on the cliff.
Oh,
yeah.
and
beautiful.
so often launch themselves off.
The orange.
They're
Like
not
it.
aerodynamic puffins. So it's
They need a
of
prevailing sort of wind to lift them.
course they
Oh
built
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, they're a stumpy sort of little bird, you know. But
always living on these cliff faces so they can get the uplift they need.
we stayed at a little place and had a meal, which one of the few meals I think in my life which I have not been able to eat. It was a roast beef, and it had a gravy on it that was sort of like a wet carpet, and
Oh.
it had a toxic level of salt. And I remember we were scrape the gravy off to get down to the meat, and they're still salty beyond belief. I don't know
Oh.
how they did it. And this is further up the coast. I don't know where it is. It's north
A lock.
on the west coast of Scotland. It was just one of those pretty little scenes you see.
Mm.
Now we're across in British Columbia. We hired a little van and nipped up as a little bit beyond Prince Rupert. This is somewhere on the road, and we're there in spring, and so you get the snow still there, but then the promise of the oncoming warmth.
As well as large numbers of bears.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, we stayed at a place at the end of the run when we got up past Prince Rupert. We stayed at a place, and on the way I'd seen a bear that had an unusual hump on its back, and I was informed that was a grizzly. And
Whoa.
Not to go for a walk. From
yeah,
the
I asked the guy, "Could I go for a walk around here?" He said, "I wouldn't do that." Okay. So this was the promise of spring, and then we went up to this place. In the afternoon prior to me taking this picture was drenched in sunlight, and we had a little tour, and the guy said, "You see these trees over here?" He said, "They are hundreds of years old, and they're only that size because they have to put up with the prevailing freezing winds." And so I got up next morning thinking I'll go and take some pictures, and overnight it had snowed somewhat.
That almost looks monochrome.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing, isn't it? If you flip the button to make it monochrome, it barely changes.
Yeah.
But that's
Mhm.
colour. Yeah.
It's almost like a lithograph.
Yeah. It was cold, I'll tell you that.
Mhm.
Now we're going to the States, and we used to, a couple of times we get these RVs about 25, 26 feet long, and you get them up here between Chicago and that's Detroit. So somewhere in the middle here is a little place called Middlebury, and they make them there. And what they did was they gave you a special rate if you delivered it and to one of their rental sites, and you got a pretty good rate. And so we did that a couple of times, which involved sort of driving down to where it's warm in New Mexico. And then on this occasion, we went to Utah, or we also went to the Grand Canyon here, and then a park called the Needles, which is part of the Canyonlands. And eventually we went up to Wyoming to Yellowstone. And on the way, we picked up some friends in Salt Lake City. So we sort of went from here down there, around here, up there to Wyoming, and then
Okay.
down to Las Vegas, from the sublime to the ridiculous, and then left off at Los Angeles. It was a good trip.
It's a long way.
It is a long way.
Oh, geez, Utah is truly, this is what the whole of Utah is like. It's incredible.
It's amazing. Yeah. So this is this Needles Park, and it's called the Needles because of these formations in the background there. But they have these pancake sort of rocks. Stunning sort of place.
Beautiful colours.
Another example of this sort of strange formation.
I have a niece who lives in Park City in Utah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
What did you say?
Only in America you get these amazing.
I have a niece who lives in Park City,
Ah,
Utah.
well, the thing that got me, there was a few things there. One of the things that got me there was just that when you went to the men's toilet, they had a picture on the wall with shades of yellow, and it was to indicate what your urine would look like and how much water you required to compensate for the colour. which was very handy. And one of them had, if your urine is this colour, drink 2 quarts or 1 quart of water instantly, because you're heading towards a sort of a toxic overload. But the other thing that was interesting here is this stuff, which just also looks like a gathering of mud. And what it is it's a crust that's alive and takes centuries to form. And they had quite explicit instructions about not standing on it. They had little narrow pathways. And what it is, it's like a mixture, an amalgam of, basically starts with cyanobacteria. Is that what you call it? Yeah. Is that right? I'm just trying to... Cyanobacteria. And it's one of the, as you probably know, they're one of the earliest forms of life. And then what happens is that lichens and mosses gather in there as well. And then it makes this crust. And as I say, they didn't want you to walk on it because it took so long for it to form.
Like we've got this in Australia, of course.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Hoofed animals do so much damage in Australia. They break up the
crust.
Philip Ingemells, you're there.
Yeah, not into hoofy animals at all.
No. Well, that's the problem. They do is they break it, and then it all starts.
Animals, wild horses.
Anyway, this, as you probably would guess, is the Grand Canyon from a helicopter.
Oh, wow.
You can get lots of views of the sort of the formation. What this told me was, the whole business about the river forming as the land lifted was obvious when you saw it from the chopper.
We walked down halfway and stayed the night.
Oh, well done, you. I've seen it a few times. I used to go for work to across to this area all the time, and I used to, every time I went, I'd go out to the Grand Canyon.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah. And easy just to stroll along.
Yeah.
This is the Badlands in South Dakota.
National Park.
Amazing national parks there, aren't they?
Yeah. And this is one of the calderas in Yellowstone. That's the thing I didn't really appreciate is that Yellowstone is really it's all about the volcanic action and these stunning colours. I mean, that's no exaggeration. That the amazing water being that sort of turquoise. And I've seen other things that were just beyond that colour, just translucent but alive.
So they reckon Yellowstone's going to completely blow up one day.
Yes. Yeah, it's a
hell of a lot of stuff real close to the lodge where you stay.
When you're standing next to one of those bubbling things, Philip, you start to think, is it going to be now?
Is it going to happen while you're there?
Yeah, because that water's really hot.
It's going to happen when someone's there, that's for sure.
Could be Trump.
Maybe he's visiting Murdoch.
Yeah, maybe that's a suitable punishment. Make him play golf. All right, now we're in Iceland. And this also, Iceland is called the land of, what do they call it? Fire and ice. And all this stuff in front of you, this black stuff, is what's been spewed out of volcanoes, the sort of black ash and sandy kind of stuff.
I thought it was
And this gives you an idea of the volcanic activity. This is a huge bubble. It would be 15 meters at least in diameter. And it's been, it's come up, and I guess it's been exposed to the cold when it came up and stopped and just formed this sort of huge magma bubble.
Can you walk on it?
Oh yeah, you could walk on it. Yeah, I suppose it'd be just a few meters high.
Sort of like a porridge bubble, isn't it?
I can see two eyes at the top of it
Oh, these
Yes.
and a mouth across underneath those,
Mm.
a ridge of nose coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been on my medical marijuana lately.
I noticed the levels going down there.
Yeah.
And this is at the base of a lake, of sort of a frozen lake. It was near one of the hot springs that you could go in for a dip. We spent quite a pleasant afternoon there.
That's a little bit of water.
Mm.
Wow.
And there's the mountains.
Yeah.
And this place is stunning. One thing about Iceland that really struck me is like this moss is like 150 mil thick everywhere.
Mm.
It's over all this broken rock. And this is in a land called Berserker land, where a certain group of these Vikings was relegated to build a road because only the Berserkers could do it.
You get the word berserker from it. Well, I was referring to these guys. They meant to have flattened this.
A few years ago.
Oh, there's
Okay, so now we're going to Montenegro. We spent some time in Italy down here in a place called Ostuni, and then got a ferry across. And because I'd read about sort of so-called ancient forests, I wanted to go see one called Biogradsko, which is up here roughly near a town called Colosseum. And we walked around this lake, and this is the kind of scenery that was there. It was one of, I mean, they call it a sort of an ancient forest, but I mean, you go up to Lamington, that's got 2,000-year-old Arctic beach up there.
Mm.
So I don't know how they compare. And this is, it's the emerging spring and
Very nice.
beech tree.
Beach.
This is another national park out of a town called Kotor on the coast. This is Lovchen National Park. And now we're in Costa Rica at a park called Tortuguera, the place of the turtles.
Turtles?
The turtles. It's on the
case. My oil? Have you been helping yourself to my...
Just a little bit. Just a tiny little bit. So this is, it's like a reserve that's water-based, where you go down the various estuaries. It's off the Caribbean.
Very famous for animals and, monkeys swinging through the trees, stuff, just music, truly. And beautiful parrots, the big macaws.
Oh, lovely.
The thing that got me of being, those giant macaws. Yeah, the thing that got me about this, in general, about Costa Rica is just the jungle and the floor, what it looks like with all the things that fall out and the leaves, various sort of stages.
Yeah, love that stuff, Duncan.
Sorry?
I love that sort of photo.
Yeah.
Oh, it is, yeah. You'd think it's been arranged with those three white sort of flowers, but it hadn't. It's just the way it is. And there's another one here. This comes from a park called Arenal.
The light's amazing on that.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, and all this.
Imagine going for a walk with Duncan, if he's got his camera, can be a very slow.
I can imagine, Mary.
Especially with we were on a sort of a tour, and the guy's trying to drag you on.
Yeah. There in a minute.
Wait for Duncan.
We're in Namibia. This is Fish Creek Canyon.
We saw that trip, didn't we?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't got a map for it, but it's about a third of the way up Namibia, and we're heading towards what's called the Namib Desert, from where you get the name Namibia, one of the rated as one of the oldest deserts in the world. What's that?
It's probably was Namibia. They went, we'll call it the Namib Desert.
But hard to believe that actually, that thing there is just all boulders,
Mm.
a collection of boulders.
And one courageous tree.
Yeah, holding on. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And while we're there, we got a chopper flight again first thing in the morning, and so you've got these growths down here on the ground, on these ridges. And this place is called Death Valley, surprisingly, and they are seriously tall sand dunes.
Gosh.
Okay, we're up here now. We're near the border with Angola, a place called Ipupa Falls, and yeah, just a stunning sort of tapestry of trees.
Beautiful. Is that from the air?
No, that's just from the other side, from the road, looking across at a range of mountains or hills.
Gorgeous colour greens.
Yeah, pretty odd. This is on the far east of Namibia.
Where it goes into
Botswana.
Yeah.
Close to Botswana.
It ends
Papyrus.
Yeah, and you're near, sort of relatively near Victoria Falls, and yeah, you're right. It's papyrus, and this is the little river called the Kwando River next to where we were staying. Had a little guy there that used to light up a wood-fired heater for our showers. It's wonderful, and but as inviting as that water looks, and there's a little goat track that leads along the side of it. This is what we're swimming in them.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, and as you walked along, you found these like mudslides where they came in and out of the water. Because hippos do come out of the water and spend a bit of time on dry land. We saw them in Botswana.
Well, lots of hippos.
And now we're in Donegal. There's Dublin down there. And I guess that must be hard to see, that town, spelt Drogheda.
Only the Irish.
Could you imagine how it's pronounced? Drogheda.
Drogheda.
Drogheda. We stopped there. There are fantastic musicians there. And this is right up in the tip of Donegal, a place called Hornhead from this thing here. And there's a park up there called Glenveigh, which was an old property, and now it's a sort of a national park, and you walk around this lake. And that's over there is where Glenveigh is. This is just driving along the roads, touring around. And
so now you know why Ireland is called the Emerald Isle.
Yeah, it's stunning. Well, we've been there a couple of times. The first time it did nothing but rain. This time we were luckier with the weather. And this is the last one in this. This is Professor's Hill, which is about 150 metres away from where we live.
Gum trees.
It's really pretty. So that's it, guys.
Thank you, Duncan.
Oh, that was
very good.
Like we've been all over the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, thank you for that. That was
Hello, Lucy. I'm thinking about you.
Have you? I've been thinking about you, Mary, too. How are you doing?
Well,
You want the video on?
No,
No.
it just is what it is, and you just got to each day move along.
Yeah, Paul said he had a nice chat with you the other day.
Yeah, he's rung up a few times. It's great.
Yeah, well, it's really early in the morning there, which is why he's not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not good enough. Not good enough.
Why can't he
Funny
get?
you said that when I
Why
talked
can't he
to
get
him
up at
yesterday.
4:30?
Yeah.
I know. It's so
He comes from
unreasonable,
one
isn't
of
it?
those states that was causing all the trouble, Michigan. Just wonderful state, wonderful place. We'll be right. We'll get there, Lucy. You'll get there.
Eventually.
How are things in London?
Well, things are improving in that, you know, rates are down, hospital admissions, everything is going down now. But, you know, the vaccine program is absolutely going gangbusters here. It's phenomenal. They've vaccinated over 8 million people already. So I'm on course to get both my jabs apparently by the end of March when I look at the calendar, which is absolutely incredible. But it's still, I mean, you know, everything's still closed and will be for probably another 6 weeks at least. So it's pretty miserable, actually. Although it's quite a nice day today, it's pretty miserable at the moment. It feels very uncertain.
Here's my tip to you. If you need toilet paper, Dave is the man. He's delivered probably 153 big boxes of this toilet paper.
Well,
he's your man.
Who gives a crap?
Yeah, that's the stuff. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Who gives a crap?
Yeah, it's very strong.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
So they're getting rushes on toilet paper and so on in London, or?
No, there's no shortages of anything. I mean, there are some places, I guess, around where there is some shortages, but here in my little corner of Southeast London, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, good.
Are you in lockdown, Lucy? Like you're allowed to go out?
We are allowed to go out. You're not supposed to go out other than for exercise, and you can only meet one other person at a time, and you have to stay apart. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard right now. It's much harder than it was in the spring last year, I think.
Yeah.
And everything is closed. But hopefully, I think at the beginning of March, they reckon they'll start to ease restrictions a little bit, but we'll just go back into some sort of tiered system.
Sounds like the Victorian model.
What's happening in Australia now?
Well, it's sort of easing back.
Sean's getting ready to. He works at a clinic, so he's going to really be under pump. And you walk in one door, and I saw this wonderful picture of St. Paul's, where they gave the injection, and they have to watch people for a period of time after it, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. And
15 minutes.
Yeah, and they're all sitting in the church waiting for it up. And Sean was saying they walk through one door, have the jab, go into another room, wait 15 minutes, but they have doctors on call. Then they'll walk out. They're going to be so busy. My God, when they get going.
We've had 25 days with no cases in Victoria. So.
That's fantastic.
We are very lucky.
And 14 days with no cases.
We've got the tennis on too.
Yeah, most important thing. To be honest, I've been sort of fairly bored during the day. I shouldn't say this, but I've been so bored, I actually followed the cricket. And the thought of having to do it for tennis, I wanted the Indians to win. They did. He said that day after day watching it. And now I've got tennis. Oh, God.
It was a bit faster moving, you know.
Choices.
Free holy stuff I've been, how low I've had to go to for watching. Anyway.
The leading item in news tonight, Lucy, was Perth in Western Australia has had 11 months, I think it is, without having any cases. And they have got one case, security guard in a quarantine hotel who picked up a COVID infection, and they put Perth into lockdown for 5 days.
Wow.
For one case.
One
Wow.
case.
It's your British variant. I think that's the problem. It's
Yeah.
the British variant. Those Brits
Can
are
I-
back to it.
Can I just make a point here? It's not. It's the British variant because Britain has the foremost genome sequencing facility in the world, and they identified it. But they don't know that it originated here. But it's called the British variant because we
Paul,
identified it.
let's blame Paul. It's all Paul's fault.
Well, there's a South African variant too,
Oh,
isn't
don't
it?
start talking.
And a
Okay.
Brazilian one. And a Brazilian one.
Okay.
And it's
All right.
time to get ready to do.
So,
He's got to get me ready for bed, and it's a long sequential process of particular food, large numbers of drugs. It goes on, and then you will like what we do. Though I've got
oh yeah,
those old British game shows are the greatest
Yes.
gift to the world. Some of them,
Yeah.
like the Goons, but the one we've discovered and I subscribe to and all the book is.
I'm sorry, I haven't a clue.
I haven't a
Okay.
clue. And
Oh.
oh my God! With the goodies, the Graham Garden and all the goodies.
Tim Brooke Taylor. Gosh.
Oh my God, it's funny.
Yeah.
So I put it on and we lay down and listen to it for half an hour before we go to sleep.
You might like, if you haven't found it yet, Mary, you might like Just a Minute as well.
All right. Okay. Well, look
Just
for
a
that.
minute, where you have to talk for a minute without hesitation,
Oh, yeah.
deviation, or repetition. It's much harder than you think.
Look, if you can get you can see if you can get one of those. What was it called? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
I'm sorry, I haven't got a clue.
I'm sorry, I haven't got a clue.
Yeah.
It's
It's
the
hilarious.
goodies. It's hilarious. When the Brits do that stuff well, it's and
Oh, yeah.
Stephen Fry keeps putting in appearance too.
And the host, this Humphrey Middleton or
Littleton.
Humphrey Littleton.
Oh, they're
My
all-
goodness, you're listening to really, really, really old episodes.
He's the master of innuendo, though. He's just.
It's constant innuendo. And then
It's always got a sexual orientation. He's always trying to make a
Oh, yeah.
but it's
double
really,
entendre, you know. He's just fantastic.
it's really worth finding one on YouTube or something and listen to it, because if you don't laugh, but that's what we do. So it's all this process. And,
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah. So what we're saying is we're gonna go.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you, Duncan.
thanks
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Duncan. They were great.
Thanks so much, Duncan. Lovely to see everybody.
beautiful, Duncan, and all the best to you both.
Bye.
Yeah,
Thank you,
okay.
oh, you've got my email.
Bye, Lucy.
See you, everybody.
All right. Cheers.
See you, Dave.
Rob,
See you, Anne.
you've
Yeah,
got
Paul.
my email address if you want to email me.
Bye, Dave.
Bye, Dave.
See you.
Hello, goodbye.
Thank you for all being such wonderful people and friends. I do appreciate it.
We appreciate you.
All
too.
right.
Oh,
Yeah, you take
we
care,
like
Mary.
to look. See you, Mary.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah,
Keep in there. Hang in there.
Yeah. See you, everybody.
The movie was The Lunchbox, the Indian movie.
Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
A lunchbox. I'll look out for that.